There we are. For those that are here for the release of my brand new Back to Billy book, book number 10 in the Back to Billy series. And of course, that one is What Lies Beneath. And look at that handsome fellow on the cover. Um, I'm going to talk a little bit about the book, a little bit about the series. We can talk a little bit Billy the Kid if I remember anything if you want. But I wanted to come on today because this really is the official release of the book. It's now available worldwide on every uh, book selling retailer platform. So if you have a preferred place you like to buy your books, then that's where you should go and that's where you'll find it. All right. So what are we? Well, we're February 17th. It's my son's birthday today. So happy birthday, Samuel. Good to be your dad. And also, today is the official date of release, although some of you got pre-release copies of What Lies Beneath. This is book number 10 in the Back to Billy series. And 10 books. I did a little calculation this morning, and it's not quite, but almost 3,000 pages, the entire Back to Billy series. Hey, Will Rhodes, good to see you. Thanks for coming by. Um, almost 3,000 pages of story. And so I'm going to get a little bit into the backstory of that. But this one, first of all, thank you to all the folks that are active on the YouTube channel because you picked out the book cover. And I had posted three options from Mary Dolan. Hey, Mark. I posted three options from Mary Dolan, and this is the one that got the most votes. This picture also happens to be the exact same picture that's been on the back of every one of the Back to Billy series. And this photograph was taken by my buddy Denny Shupman Photography. And this would have been taken in 2019. And the reason I remember that is because this was about 2 or 3 days after I shredded my knee in jujitsu. And that was 2019 because that's when I had surgery to fix it. I had the exact same injury as Lindsey Vonn, if you've been following the Olympics, ruptured ACL, torn meniscus, bone bruise, and cartilage damage. And so when I heard she was going to ski in the Olympics on that injury, I couldn't even I mean, I got here, but I could barely walk. I was dragging my leg around and it hurt like hell. So kudos to her for even trying. But this was pictures taken in 2019, and I've used it as the author photo on the book. But also, the picture itself has become almost a character in the books and in the book series. And there's quite a few things from real life that work their way into that. That photo is not of me. For those that have read the series, you'll probably recognize this guy as Michael Roberts, not Michael Anthony Giudice, which is just a made-up name anyway. And this photo led to a lot of kind of heartache and anguish for Michael Roberts, being tagged as the author of the books that Martin Teebs actually wrote. It gets complicated, so we'll see if we can straighten that out for you at some point. But the book is available right now. Let me get to that part first. Let me see if I can get the window here. There it is. It's on Amazon, but any online book retailer where you're interested in buying books, Barnes and Noble, Goodreads, et cetera, all around the world, you can order it now, worldwide distribution. And I'm going to read you the little back cover blurb. For those of you that pre-ordered through Amazon, there was a mistake here until probably 1 a.m. this morning that said that the book was going to be shipped on September 2nd. And I have no idea where that came from. I know I pushed up the release date to today, but I have no idea how we got to September 2nd. And I also knew that it was not correct and was confident it would be fixed. But you can see if you order it now, it'll ship on February 27th if you're a Prime member. So that's all fixed. So if you've already placed an order, it'll be shipped out. If it hasn't shipped already, which Amazon usually does. It will ship out shortly. Amazon drop ships these, so it's kind of print on demand. You buy a book, it gets printed and mailed. But in some of the markets where they sell more books, they buy five per warehouse or something like that. So anyway, sometimes they ship it a little quicker. All right, so let's get back to the story at hand. Uh, is this the last book in the Back to Billy series? Well, I've said yes a few times to that, and I've been wrong. I said that after book 3, after book 6, after book 9, and this is book 10. I can't see, and if you're one of the early readers of this, you'll know why. But I can't see it being possible for me to write any more of these books. But that doesn't mean that somebody might not read or write one of these books. I just don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, I think I've gone as far as I can go with writing these books. And book number 10 definitely reaches a conclusion that you'll be able to understand why. Now you got to get there. So if you're reading, well, it's 312 pages, I think. If you're listening to the audiobook right here on this channel as a member of the channel, then you have you're about 3 hours into it, and you've got at least another 5 or 6 hours to go on this one. So just enjoy the ride. I hope you have fun with it, and yeah, if you have any questions or feedback, that would be great. So let's talk about the Back to Billy series a little bit. 10 books long, 3,000 pages. Back to Billy, the original book, first published in 2020, the year of COVID. And the reason for that is I had actually written a screenplay for Back to Billy for a film or for a streaming series. And I was really hopeful that I'd be able to develop this series idea into a feature film or a streaming series. But I got started so late in life in the entertainment industry. I didn't have the contacts. I just didn't have the horsepower to be able to really chase that down and make that happen. And then in 2020, when we were, saying, well, maybe we'll make something, then COVID hit and you couldn't really make anything. And so that's when I took the screenplay and adapted it into the first version of the Back to Billy book number 1. And then subsequently did a rewrite on that, which I released in January of 2023. So just a bit over 3 years ago now. And that, whoops, we don't need Siri here. There we go. And that was a complete story. If you've not read the first book in the series, that is a total and complete story beginning to end. There's nothing, well, there is more to it, but there doesn't have to be anything to it. You don't have to read 10 books to get the story of Martin Teeves. What had happened, though, is when I had written the screenplay, I had been working with a producer up in Colorado, and he had read the screenplay and said, oh, this is good. I like the story, but I want to know what happened to Rosita. I want to know what happened to Carl Farber. I want to know what happened to Colin. And you just kind of left them all hanging out there. And I did that on purpose because I like the idea of a reader or a viewer of a film to be able to go and fill in some of their own information, and hey, what do I think happened to this character? But when I finished the first book and started getting feedback on it, then I started, in my mind, I had an idea of what happened to those people, but I had never really fleshed it out. And I thought, well, maybe I should tell the story of what happened to them. And so that's how the rest of the Back to Billy series happened. But let's take a look at, if you're not familiar with the series, we're here talking about book number 10. But going back to book number 1, we can talk about the origin story. Martin Teeves is a middling everyman, nobody from Waldwick, New Jersey. Waldwick is in Bergen County. If you don't know where Bergen County is in New Jersey, it's northern New Jersey, right across the Hudson River from New York City. And Bergen County is also where the Real Housewives of New Jersey are from. Franklin Lakes, I think maybe most of them live in that town. So if you've ever seen the show, that's part of Bergen County there. Waldwick is kind of a upper middle class town, the kind of place that a guy like Martin Teebs would aspire to live in. He doesn't have the best house, but he keeps it really nice. And, he's worked hard to be fastidious. Martin has had the exact same job for 17 years at the time we meet him, and he's in his early 40s at that time. And he works for the Parmalove Brothers ad agency, and he's a quality control guy. He's not an ad man. He doesn't pitch ideas to clients. He just makes sure that when a proposal goes out or a storyboard, that the colors are correct and that the right information is on there. And he's not the only guy that does this. He's in a department. He's so unimportant. He's like the tiniest cog in the machine that if you take it out, the machine will keep running. Poor Martin. But Martin lives a life that's, he's got a very pretty wife named Lily Teebs, and Lily is really kind of Martin punching above his weight class for him to land a woman like that. They met at Rutgers University in New Jersey. And then Martin, one night, eats a half gallon of ice cream. Not that I've ever done that, but I have in the past anyway, and wakes up in the middle of the night and he can't sleep. He can't he can't get back to sleep. Can't get any rest. He wakes up, goes in the living room, and winds up looking at late night TV and watches the movie Young Guns, like many of us have. And in fact, that probably was the inspiration for more Billy the Kid fanatics than any other project, a book or film or series or anything like that. And Martin, as he's watching Young Guns, he's asking himself really the exact same things I asked myself, which is no surprise since I wrote the book. But he's asking himself, did this stuff really happen? Did it really happen this way? Did Billy kill Henry Hill by sticking his his? Oh, I got one here. Hang on. Don't worry, it's not real. This is a cap gun. But it's through his zipper, as he turns away from, and does he shoot and kill the guy? Like all of the things that we saw in that film, I asked myself, and Martin winds up asking himself, are these the are these the real facts? So much so that the next day, Martin he has to drive through Paramus, New Jersey. If you've ever been to New Jersey, northern New Jersey, you've had to drive through Paramus. It's the land of shopping malls. There's three major shopping malls within 2 or 3 miles of each other. And he stops at the Paramus Park Mall and goes to the Barnes and Noble there. And Martin is just looking to get a book on Billy the Kid, which will hopefully tell him the truth. And then he's just looking to get out. Well, when he goes in that day, he sees a group of guys and he asks somebody, hey, where are the books on history? They point him over there where all those guys are. And he goes, wait a minute, what the hell are all these people doing here? And of course, it dawns on him that Lily got the ice cream on sale, which is why she bought 2 half gallons and Martin ate an entire one. Probably the guys in the store had the exact same dessert last night. They couldn't sleep. They watched Young Guns, and now all of these middle-aged schlubs are in Barnes and Noble, and they're looking for they're looking for books about Billy the Kid. There's 2 people in that scene when Martin is walking over there that become much more important characters. In fact, you wouldn't even know they were in there until later in the series. But there's 2 people that are in there that are vital to the story. One of them is a pinched-faced, aggravated guy named Carl Farber. And if you've read the series, then of course you would know about Farber's place in that. And Farber disapprovingly looks at essentially everyone in this in this bookstore and in this department here. He's not happy with their choice of books. And when Martin finally decides on one, Farber's there sneering at him like, oh, what an idiot you are for buying that. Farber has a very specific purpose for being there, but I'm not going to spoil it for you if you have not yet read any of the books. The other person who's in that bookstore at that time, and again, we don't find this out until much, much later, and I think it's during 1 Week in Lincoln, which would be book 5. The next person is Sergio Bachaca, and Sergio Bachaca is the author of The True Life of Billy the Kid, which is the book that sets this whole time travel odyssey on its way. And Martin doesn't know who he is. Sergio Bachaca doesn't use a picture of himself on the back of the book, so you can't identify him. And he is just trying to be super helpful to anybody around there, telling them this is the best, most complete book, most factual book on the life of Billy the Kid that anyone's ever seen. You should buy this one. I have 3 copies myself, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, that's a pretty good deal. Like if I were to go to a to a bookstore that had my books and my picture wasn't on the cover or the back cover of this one, then and tell people, hey, oh, you're looking for a book on Billy the Kid. Well, this is a really good one. Yeah, I've read this one several times, and people wouldn't even know it was me. So good on Bachaca, but he's got another very important purpose and reason for being in the bookstore at that point. And I'm not going to, again, not going to spoil the surprise for those that haven't read the book yet, um, but these things come full circle much, much later in the series. Anyway, Martin picks up his book and he goes out to the car and he's tempted to just tear into it right there and start reading about Billy the Kid, but he decides to go home. And what happens next is really a function of wherever you are in the series. And I'm not going to give you more than that, but for those that have read, you'll definitely know what happened next. But what happened next to Martin, the best of his knowledge, is he drove home, he started reading the books, and then he did what probably most of us have done, is he started looking online, and now he's looking for books on Billy the Kid because he's got to read one more. There's got to be one more story. Or I got to read about Brushy Bill and figure out if that's true. Who's this John Miller guy? I've got to dive in and find that one little fact that everybody else overlooked in all of their research. And so he begins ordering and buying and getting deliveries all the time of all these books. And all of the books essentially say the same thing, or very nearly the same thing, about Billy the Kid. But Martin, he just can't be satiated by having by just those books. And so in his mind, there's nothing that can quench that thirst other than going to Lincoln himself, going to Lincoln, New Mexico from Waldwick, New Jersey. And the way that he accomplishes this is almost as an afterthought. His company is having a contest to come up with a new safety slogan. They've had several workplace accidents. Their liability insurance is soaring, workman's comp, and they're trying to get control of these type things. So they have a contest, and Martin just fires off some silly idea at the last minute because he didn't even consider entering. And he writes, sales plus safety equals success, and the success has the dollar sign as the S. And off it goes, and he forgets about it. And he finds out about a week later that he actually won. And what did he win? He won 2 tickets to anywhere, whatever the airline was, flies in the continental United States. Well, this came directly from my life. Many have heard this story before, but that's exactly what happened to me. And that's exactly how I had my first trip to New Mexico. And that's exactly the slogan I wrote for my company that I worked for, which at that point was Color Tile, long since bankrupt, hopefully not my fault. So I won 2 tickets. Now, Martin has a little tougher job in that he has to go home and tell Lily that he wants to take her away on this vacation, and there's this romantic little spot in New Mexico. And yeah, Billy the Kid was there. There's some history, but really it'll be just the two of us in this quiet little retreat where we can, we can focus on each other. Not at all what Martin's actually hoping to do, but that's how he sells it to Lily. Now, at the time, and I was married before, so with my ex, I didn't have that hard of a sell in order to get New Mexico on the docket, but that's exactly how I went the first time as well, because I had no money. I was working 7 days a week, had just bought a house, and I just literally had nothing. Like I would pay the bill. If I paid the bills at the end of the month and there was enough money for a pizza left over, that was a good month. So the Martin takes the trip. He and Lily get to Lincoln. During that first dinner, there's some you'll see it referenced several times inside of the series. But during that first dinner, there is something that happens or doesn't. It depends which book you're reading. And Martin inadvertently winds up slipping back in time to the days of Billy the Kid, early, as in like end of March 1878, just the night before April 1st, 1878, which you'll remember is the killing of Sheriff Brady. And uh, when Martin gets back in time, he's totally disoriented, as you would imagine. Um, he can't really seem to believe that what's going on is real. And everybody, the regulators, Billy, Dolan's men, Rosita, everybody seems to know him, but he is not familiar with anyone. Now, he knows who the regulators and Billy the Kid are from his research. He's read the books, he's seen their pictures. So he knows who they are. He just doesn't know them. He has no relationship. He's never seen them in person before in his life. But somehow they know him very, very well. Um, and so that becomes the petri dish from which the rest of the series grows. And I won't go any further into that, but there are some moral dilemmas that Martin faces. First of all, the most beautiful woman in all of Lincoln County, Rosita Luna, comes charging out from between two buildings, yelling and screaming that Martin's finally back, throws herself around him, plants kisses all over him. And here's a guy that's married and just walked away from his wife at the Patron place 5 minutes ago. So he's having trouble with that. The somehow I keep hitting the button there. No, we don't need you, Siri. And so that becomes one of the focal points. Billy seems to know him very well, calls him buddy or pal or friend or something. And so now he's got this kid whose life that he was studying, kind of religiously poring over all the books. This kid is actually his friend, even though Martin has clearly never met any of these people in his life before. Dolan's men don't like him because he's on the side of the regulators. So there's a lot going on. And I wonder what would happen if you or I or all of us wound up in a situation like that. First of all, I think you'd hope to have your iPhone, right? You'd hope that you had this so you could take some pictures of all of the stuff that we never really got a picture of, and get a clean picture of Billy the Kid. I think that would probably be cool. But aside from that, I don't know how you would handle all of these things, being back in time and having a relationship uh, or relationships with people that you know nothing about. Kind of weird. Anyway, so one of the questions that people have asked me when they come across my books or audiobooks, they say, well, how much of the real history of Billy the Kid is in the books? And the answer to that is a pretty fair amount. Now, there's not, I think I've said this probably 20 times well in the past, but there's not that much information on William H. Bonney. There's just not. If you look at, you pull a book off the shelf, there'll be stuff about the regulators, about Jesse Evans, about the Santa Fe ring, about McSween, Tunstall, all that stuff. But if you take the actual stuff that we know about Billy the Kid, the things that are documented, that people testified to, or there's photographic evidence or something, if you take that and put it all together, it's a few pages of stuff. We don't know exactly what happened during the 5-day battle of Lincoln in the McSween house. We know that the guys got burned out of there. We have a couple of anecdotes that people have said somebody said, but it's very, very little. But with that said, there's quite a bit of the real Billy the Kid inside the Back to Billy series. In book number 1, we have the murder of Sheriff Brady, which didn't happen exactly the way that I wrote about it. I had some different people involved on the regulator's side, but other than that, pretty close to the way that it happened. In one of Martin's subsequent trips back in time, we have him in the McSween house on day 5 of the 5-day battle, or the 3-day battle if you're if you're a Brushy Bill believer. Um, but we have him inside the McSween house and figuring out how he's going to get out. And uh, do we really know what happened in there? No, not so much. But look, I think my scenario is as plausible as any. If you go to the second book in the series, which actually takes place earlier on everyone's timeline, 1877, and that's the origin story of Billy and Rosita and Martin. Um, we have the killing of Tunstall, and that happened quite a bit, I think, like it was, like it's been documented in history. But then again, somebody said, can't remember who it was, they said, oh, and Billy said they've killed Tunstall, like kind of flat and emotionless, um, as they were, running for cover and trying to defend themselves. Um, but we don't know what John Middleton said. But I do because I wrote it. I know what John Middleton said and did directly afterwards. And if you read the book, you already know that too. So, um, so those kind of things are in there, and you might as well, if you're chasing the historical legend of Billy the Kid. Look, I don't know, but I don't think there's anything out there. I don't think you're going to find some treasure trove of letters or testimony or photographs or stuff that somebody said, "Oh, I never knew I had these, but here's all you can now. You can write a 1,000-page book on this guy's life." I don't think that that's going to happen. I think we know what we know, and everything else is assumed or manufactured. And in fiction, it's my job as the author to manufacture some of that stuff. So if you're of the mindset that I'm not really into uh, Billy the Kid fiction, um, I would argue that you probably are, because a lot of what you read in the historical texts about Billy the Kid is fiction. It is what somebody thinks happened. It is what somebody wants to have happened. And you might as well read fiction that's designed to entertain rather than designed to present alternative facts to history or something. So that's our buddy Martin Teebs. Martin certainly makes it all the way to book 10. There's no way that he couldn't. And you can see the very famous spot that I'm in front of. That's the Fort Sumner grave of the kid Bowdry Folliard. And of course, the tombstone that's been stolen a couple times there. The grave itself, who's in there, what lies beneath that dirt in Caliche and the Fort Sumner Cemetery. Um, that's all ripe for speculation, but everything about that is in this book. Um, the book starts out, the first part of it, it's really written in 2 parts. Starts out in Lincoln, New Mexico, 1960. And for those of you who remember, that was the very famous court case where Lincoln County was intent on getting the remains of Billy the Kid from Fort Sumner into Baca County. And Lincoln essentially wanted the kid because they thought they deserved him. They thought they could do a better job of presenting him than this weed infested, um, little plot of land in Fort Sumner. And there was quite a legal battle over that. There were people on both sides that claimed to be family members that wanted uh, for Billy to be moved or not to be moved because they felt like their relative, Charlie Bowdry, would be his grave would be disturbed. And in the end, it kind of went nowhere. But I found kind of ripe ground for this story in that 1960 court case and all of the happenings around it. And so that's where the book starts. And between that and time in the present, um, there's an interesting storyline that goes on. I can't give much away, but if you're driving into, I can tell you this: if you're driving into Lincoln from the west, so you're coming from Capitan, um, be careful and keep looking up. And that's all the that's all the advice I'll give you. But be careful and keep looking up because you're going to want to avoid what happens. I think you're going to want to avoid what happens to Martin. But uh, there you go. Anyway, oh gosh, these earphones are not as great as I thought they would be. Okay, so really not as great as I thought they'd be. But anyway, so that's where the book takes place. But people say, well, is Billy in this one? Is he featured? Because he wasn't really in the last book. He was, for kind of a cameo appearance in book number 9. Yeah, Billy the Kid. This book focuses on July 14, 1881, getting back there, and all of the people that needed to be in that place in order for whatever happened to have happened need to get there at about the same time. How they all do, gosh, I don't know. I mean, it happens somehow, but it seems like it was beyond me for that story to come together. But that's the focus of the book, and of course, the real question is, what lies beneath? Well, if you're a reader of, if you're a Billy the Kid historian, armchair historian, then you're going to say what lies beneath there is Billy, Bowdry, and Folliard. If you're a Brushy Bill believer, you're going to say it's Billy Barlow, Box of Rocks, a Saddle. I can't remember what else. Side of beef. All the things I heard from the people in Heiko about what's down there. And of course, if you've read the series up till now, you'll know that it's not Billy at all that's down there. But the person you think is, well, might not be either. So kind of kind of a mystery, which is why I would encourage you to read the book. So this would be a good time for me to da 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 da. Dun, dun. There we go. And so we're back. This is the Amazon page for the book, and you can order it right now. Ships within 1 to 2 days. I'd love to hear what you thought about it. I have had people that have purchased this book because I know they ordered a copy signed from me that have never read any of the other books, and they said, will I be able to catch up? And gosh, I don't know. I think there's a lot of water under the bridge. 9 books, 2,700 pages or so. But you might be able to, or you might get interested enough to go, hey, I think I want to go back and start book 1. But let me read you this little blurb here. I know you can read it for yourself, but I'm going to read it for you. Martin Teebs and Billy the Kid in a time travel paradox they cannot escape. Is this the end? Need a drink. All right. Martin Teebs was gone, vanished, his life erased by the stroke of a pen. And then a meddling author simply could not let Martin or his family rest in peace. Thrust back to the infamous 1960 court case over exhuming the grave of Billy the Kid, Teebs and his now 80-year-old son, Junior, try to understand the forces that have erased their family's history. A mysterious book, the 10th in the Back to Billy series, is being written in real time by someone who wants Martin gone. But who is it and why? Your favorite characters are back for a race through time. Destination Fort Sumner, New Mexico, July 14, 1881. The night that Billy the Kid was killed, or was he? The shocking conclusion will finally expose who's buried beneath the kid's famous tombstone and lay bare all the secrets of what lies beneath. So there it is. That's the back cover blurb. I see there's a typo in there. Um, yeah, I have to fix that. I don't know how that happened there. It's certainly not on the book, but anyway, it says by someone twice. The book, as you're reading it, this book, number 10, What Lies Beneath, as you're reading the book is being written. Now, I can't explain it to you. You have to read it to figure out, but it's being written as you read it. It is not written here, right? This is not the book that you're going to get if you order it. You're going to get a book that, as you make your way from page to page, is being written by someone for some reason. That may not make a lot of sense, but that's exactly what's going on. Hey, who's in the book? I know, like Michael, we've got to say goodbye to some of these characters. Who's in it? Who makes their farewell appearance? Well, Steve from Capitan, he's in there. He's a favorite of a number of readers. And my buddy Mark says he's the favorite character that I voice in the audiobook versions of these books, because you got that kind of laconic drawl and got some of Steve from Capitan's mannerisms. So he is in there if you're looking for a one last go around. Rosita, yes, Rosita's in the book. Of course, Billy the Kid is in there as well. Is Martin in there? He's in there. Um, it's a kind of an interesting deal to ask, well, why are you on the cover, Michael? This is a picture of you. These are not characters in the books. I think you might flash back to book number 8, The Ruins of Legend, and take a look or have a look at the last few chapters during the Billy Palooza and see that a guy named Michael Anthony Giudicissi, whoever that really is, that's not me, but whoever that really is, did make an appearance at Billy Palooza and had some interchange with Martin. And that guy supposedly was this guy that the photograph was taken of back in 2019. And I think this guy might be in the book. So yeah, he's there as well. Trying to think of who else the other major characters are. Do we get Lily Teebs? Well, Lily Teebs is mentioned, but not in the way that maybe that you think she would be. Yeah, not exactly in that way. How about Dallas and Darlene Jones? We haven't talked to them in a while. Well, Dallas and Darlene Jones are in the book, in a really key scene, and Darlene especially has a great. Hang on. Darlene has a great interchange with Martin and with Steve from Capitan. One of my favorite one of my favorite parts of the book, actually. And I'm laughing. The book's not a comedy, but there are some comedic situations. There are some funny, the times that we cover. So yeah, there is some stuff to laugh about in there. It's not all serious all the time. So Dallas and Darlene, Steve from Capitan are there. Anybody else? Well, unfortunately, no, because the breadth of the story is not a wide angle, like, hey, here's an ending for every single character, if this is indeed the last book. But it is a story focused on this smaller subset of characters. Now, is Junior Teebs in there? Well, yeah, it says right there, his 80-year-old son. Martin's about 50 and his son's 80. How does that work? Well, you time travel fanatics will know that. So he's there. But how about the rest of the characters that we probably had to say goodbye to a lot of them in book in the second Niece Brown book, because that really was a crossover between the two stories. So Emily Leon, the Madam of the Bathgate House, Brandon, the tour guide, we had to say goodbye to. Um, who else was in that group there? They'll come to me, but yeah, those folks. If you know, if there's no more books, then we've heard the last of them, and you won't hear from them here. Except there's one interesting thing, and I want to read you. Well, I don't know if I want to read you. There's a list of books here, and I can't. I don't think I can show it to you without showing you too much. It's the very last. Here, I'll give you a quick. Whoop, whoop, whoop. There it is. Uh, I don't think I can give it to you without giving something away. But there's a list of books. Back to Billy, 1877, Sunset and Sumner. It is not the list of books that's listed under my name. It's not. I think you can probably see it's not that. Um, but it's there for another purpose, and it has 11 books there. Every one of the books has a subtitle, so it's not book one or book two or book three. Back to Billy, The Love of My Life, 1877, A New Hope, Sunset and Sumner, Farber's Remorse, Bonnie and Teebs, Lost Years Found, One Week in Lincoln, The Price of a Dream, Four Empty Graves, A Family United, Pieces of Us, Are We Not Ourselves, The Ruins of Legend, A Twist in Time, Live Another Lie, The Circle Complete, What Lies Beneath, A Just Reward. But there's one more book. From Now to Forever, How Long Must We Wait? All of those books, the first 10 names I read you, are in the Back to Billy series. From Now to Forever. I don't know. I don't know what the book is. I don't think I wrote it. I don't know where it is, whether I wrote it or somebody else. I have no idea. I don't know when it would be coming out. I don't know if it's complete. I don't know anything about that. But maybe you'll figure it out. A couple other fun things that we had planned to do already, and again, my buddy Mark has been great in offering to help. But we were planning to do a little scavenger hunt. We're going to hide some pre-release copies of the book down around the cemetery in Fort Sumner, and in some specific areas that would be mentioned in the book, so it would give you some clues. The problem was my printer, Ingram Spark, took almost a month. Shame on you, Ingram Spark. Almost a month to get me these books. So much so that I had to cancel the book signing that I was doing, which would have been in advance of the release of the book, to all major retailers. And so, while we waited and waited and waited, and we kept, when will we go? Well, we never got to go because the books, got here so late. That doesn't mean, however, that we will not do that. I like the idea of going and hiding a couple books, and I've got a few videos back. I've got a bunch of Billy the Kid kind of trinkets and stuff. So maybe we'll hide a bunch of it around, and I'll give you some clues. There are clues in the book to some of the locations and the graves, I guess, of the folks in Fort Sumner, or in the post cemetery in Fort Sumner, and then we could do some clues via a video as well. So I like that idea. I just have not been down there, have not had the opportunity to get there while I had books to go and hide somewhere. And hiding a book is a little tougher, I think, than hiding like a pen or a coin or a patch or something, because it's bigger and because it's not impervious to weather. And I don't think that they're going to take kindly to me walking into the cemetery with with a shovel to dig a hole and put a plastic bag over the book and put it in there. But if we somehow were able to bury this there, it would be a lot like was mentioned in book number 4, wasn't it? When Martin buys the house right there on Billy the Kid Drive, just up the road from the post cemetery, And while they're cleaning out his septic tank, he finds a buried manuscript written by none other than Pat Garrett. Do you remember that one? So yeah, some interesting stuff there. Um, and if it truly is the end of the series here, and I don't know if it is, based on reading, when I got these books back from the from the printer and saw that there's another book listed after this one, then yeah, I didn't really know what to think. But if this is the end, one of the questions I get a lot is how many characters in this entire series are based on real life, like kind of current day people that I know and am friends with. Um, and the answer is quite a few. Now, of course, Billy the Kid is based on Billy the Kid. Characters that were completely fabricated were Carl Farber, Martin Teebs, Lily Teebs, Rosita Luna, Colin, Colin's Russian girlfriend, Jane Gordon. So a number of those characters are just fabricated. They exist in this world only, but a number of mostly smaller as far as appearance in the series characters are real people that I have had friends and acquaintances and that I've had interactions with over the time of writing the books, and always went to them and said, hey, here's what I'm considering. I would send them a paragraph or two of their appearance in the book to make sure that they were okay with it. But there's quite a bit of those. Warner Smith III, Martin's real estate agent from Denver, Colorado. Hey, Warner, if you ever get to see this, um, uh, yeah, no, and Gerald from the Chamber of Commerce down in Fort Sumner. Yeah, he was in there too. Brandon, the tour guide, he was in there too. The deputies who meet Martin's ambulance outside of Roswell when they're in a snowstorm and they're trying to get him to the emergency room in Roswell before he bleeds out. The Clark and Clark. Well, that's Todd and Amanda Clark, friends of mine who happen to be, or at least Todd was sheriff's deputy, and Amanda still is. So there's a number, just dozens and dozens of characters that have graced the pages. So thanks to everyone that allowed me to use their to use them as a springboard. None of them are exactly the people that they are in real life, and some of the characters I just took an idea of a person that I knew and then expanded upon that and created a whole nother identity for them. But it really was. It's really been a pleasure and great fun. And when you say we have to say goodbye to them, but there's 10 books, almost 3,000 pages. You can go back and read them. There's all 10 books are created as audiobooks on this channel. If you just hit the membership tab, you can start listening. That's I think it's over 100 hours of content. It's certainly 80, but I think it's probably more like 100 with the Niece Brown books. So anytime you want a little fix, you can just go back. I guarantee you, if you go back to book number 1, back to Billy, or you insert yourself at any point into the series subsequently, you're going to find stuff you missed, because there's a lot of little details that I put in there. There's a lot of pop culture references that I think people probably just passed by the first time they read it, and it just didn't mean anything to them. There's I've made sure that when I wrote this series, I put a bunch of little tidbits, and my intent always was for people to go back once or twice and read again and go, oh my gosh, I totally missed this, and this connects to the thing in book 7 or book 8. How did that get past me? There's tons of that in there. So if you ever feel like, oh gosh, we're not going to get any more back to Billy books. Well, I don't know if you are or not, but I know that what you have, if you've read the series or listened to it, there's more to it than probably you even realize. So there you go. All right, What Lies Beneath, officially available worldwide, retailers all over, online retailers all over the world. Here's the one more time, the Amazon page. The price of the book, which is a fair thing to disclose, is $16.49. man, everything has gotten expensive. Printing books has gotten expensive. The wholesalers cut, the distributors cut, the blah blah blah. There's hardly anything left. But still, um, that's one of the lower priced ones in the series. $16.49. If you are a Amazon Prime member, you get free shipping in 1 to 2 days. The book is available right now, so if you order it today or tonight, it will be on its way in a day or two to you, and you can get your Billy the Kid on. But it's not just Amazon. I know there's lots of people that would prefer to shop somewhere else, and you can shop on Goodreads or Barnes and Noble or a thousand other bookstores. Um, and all across the globe, all of the continents have a retailer, or at least a retailer that ships there, where you can get your Back to Billy fix. This is a great time for me to once more ask for you to review any of the books that you've written. It's so hugely important for me as an author to have people review it. And I've been 100% consistent with this. I don't care what the review is. I don't care if you go and think, it's 1 stars. It's amateurish. Oops, it's amateurish. You didn't do a good job. What 1 star, 5 stars, three? I don't care. Whatever you write it as far as a review, if anything, that's totally up to you. I'm not asking for a glowing review or anything else. I'm just asking for you to take about 5 minutes out of your time to go do this, because it helps the books rank higher when someone searches for a book about Billy the Kid or the Lincoln County War or the Regulators or whatever, that the reviews start to bump up. But you'd be surprised at how few people will get to see. You think, oh, you're on Amazon, everybody can see it. They can't unless they're going specifically looking for that book. Um, there are 2.2 million books published every year in the United States. 2.2 million, because self-publishing is so easy now. 2.2 million books every single year just in the United States. And so a year from now, there'll be 2.2 million more books than there are right now. Many of those will be available on Amazon. So, these things just get knocked further and further down. And by getting some reviews, well, that can help them come up. And it really is, I'll tell you my hope. I love writing. It's an escape for me. I love creating stories and then taking what I see in my head and putting that onto paper. Um, I'm never going to be a best-selling author. I understand that. My hope is one of the books, and I've got 4 or 5 in the works right now, but one of the books that I write, whatever one is going to catch on, right? You're going to get some traction, and then you get, more book sales, more notoriety, more interviews, and then people go, well, what else has this guy written? And that's what I would love for them to go back and really explore this Back to Billy series, because um, I really did. Over the course of the last 6 years, I poured my heart and soul into writing this, and spent hundreds and hundreds of hours writing and editing and rewriting, and getting the books ready for publication. And I don't want any. I'm not looking for an attaboy or a pat on the back, accolades. I would just love more people to be able to get lost in the story, because I think it really does have something for almost, not quite, but almost everyone. So, What Lies Beneath, book number 10, Back to Billy series, written by me, Michael Anthony Giudice, available now online everywhere books are sold, and your local bookstore can order it too. There are some settings when you publish a book that would preclude a bookstore from stocking it. Especially one of them is, can they return the book? Most indie authors say, no, you can't. You buy it, that's it, go sell it. But a bookstore can return the books if they decide to do that. And so that's one of the things. And then, of course, there's wholesale pricing and those kind of things. But this one is optimized for your bookstore to carry it. So if you want to give them a little business, and it's a place you support anyway, by all means, you can just have them go, and you can find the ISBN number right here on the Amazon listing. And they'll be able to find it under my name, the title name, the series name, any of those things. But yeah, I'd love to hear what you think about it, especially when you've assuming you lived through the wild and woolly ending of this one. And if you see that last book, From Now to Forever, book 11, I assume. From Now to Forever, how long must we wait? If you see that, if you know anything about it, if you've been handed a manuscript, if there's some fan fiction being written, I don't know where it came from, but if you know anything about From Now to Forever in the Back to Billy series, I would love for you to get in touch with me and let me know what you found out, because yeah, because I certainly didn't authorize anything else being written in this series, and I'd like to know who's at the helm of that. That would be a huge help to me. If Mark and I can get it together to get to Fort Sumner, then we will we'll sneak down there when you're not looking, and we will hide some copies of the book, signed copies, and I've got some other Billy the Kid cool stuff that we can hide. So we'll set up a little scavenger hunt for you. You won't know it until you come back here and you see a video about it that says, "Hey, let loose." And I understand if you're in Michigan, you can't you can't just get on your private jet and fly down to Fort Sumner so quickly. But we'll do a good enough job of hiding them that people won't be able to find them all in one day. And that way, there'll be some there in a week or a month or 6 months or maybe a year. Who knows? I don't know how broad the reach is of this channel anymore. Not what it used to be. So maybe there'll be some stuff there a year from now. But when you get to Fort Sumner, um, we'll set you up a little a little adventure to go and see what you can find. So, all right, I think that's enough for once. It was fun to be back here with you, except for these headphones that keep popping out. My AirPods died, and oh, Will Rhodes says they're going this summer. Well, Will, I'm going to tell you what. We're going to make sure that we absolutely hide something well enough that it'll last until the summertime. And we'll make sure that it's protected well enough that between now and summer, it doesn't disintegrate. Whether it be a book or, I got a pile of stuff over there that that we can hide. So we're going to do our damnedest to make sure there's something there for you to still go look for and see if you can come up with come up with the big prize, like the golden ticket on Willy Wonka. But this is just the dirty ticket because it's just dirt in that cemetery over the graves. Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should have dirty tickets or cemetery tickets or dead tickets or something. Who knows? Anyway, all right, gang. Thanks so much for joining me. If you want to find out anything else that I'm up to, of course, you can pay attention right here. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on TikTok at That Author Guy or New Mexico Pizza Guys. Me and my buddy Jerome do our pizza reviews of the best pizzerias all over New Mexico. And finally, you can go to Amazon and just click on my name as the author of any of my books and then follow my authors page where all of the updates are. And yeah, I really appreciate everybody for being here. Thanks so much. And I don't know that we'll ever see you for a Back to Billy book release again, but just never say never because you're usually wrong. See ya.